Architectural Builders Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
You have about 30 or 40 different variations. One I know is whether or not the head of the key is embossed or halfway embossed or whatever. And then the other, I think, possibly is whether the upper bitting is cut or not. And then I think the third variation is the side bitting on it. Can you clarify any of that for me, please?
I think regarding the Schlage 35157, I think you have a very reasonable grasp over the differences that you can see in our website based on what you said. There are additional differences, such as level and key type. Those two, in addition to your three, would be the five that come to mind to explain why you see so many variants.
Okay. Now, our keyway is a Primus C, and we have two variations with the side bitting, and I am looking for a third variation without getting real involved. Can you maybe see if something here is available to me, or if it's all national security? One of the side biddings is that it's available to everybody in the world. Let's see, it's a 62266, which I think was like a 1001 series.
You're speaking about what Schlage would define as the bidding for the finger pins. I don't have those memorized. I would refer to the published documentation to know what that may be. I don't know that there's a correlation between a number that you would see on the end of your box and the side bit millings if we were to measure them for depth and positioning.
Okay, so you don't have any actual listing as to what, say if I picked a certain key blank out of your listing here, you wouldn't have any listing as to what it actually is classified as?
Oh, no, I definitely know what it is, because the blanks that are there, unless it's for a specific client, they're all going to be level 1. And I can derive the side bit milling for level 1 or maybe level 1 plus as well. The issue, though, is that you have to move beyond level 1 because you're defining that you want a different side bit milling. And those restricted levels, the entire part and parcel of restricted high security patented key blanks, that's their stock in trade, not publishing that data.
Okay. So these, let's say, 30 different variations that you have listed on your website, are they all level 1 or?
No, not all of them, but the ones that are beyond level 1 are client specific.
Okay, so they're so they're restricted, correct?
Everything is restricted when it comes to Primus, with the exception of the classic keyways that are Primus that are no longer under restriction because of the age. Those level 1s you can buy, but that's the same side bit milling to me here in Southern Florida as to someone in, Nome, Alaska. It's the same side bit milling.
Okay. All right, I understand that part of it. So this, let's say there's 30 of them you have listed on your website here that are going through this list. So are they different variations of that level 1, or are they your other, levels? You just don't make them available to just any Joe on the street?
Yes, to both. We've got, there are, to the former of what you said, there's more than one 35-157, whether it be keyway or key type. So, if you've got 7 keyways and 3 different key types, there's that could account for 21 of the possibilities that you see. There could be duplications of the same item for a variety of reasons. So focusing on in my site, when you type in Schlage Primus, key blank or whatever, picking through there something that might meet your criteria, I would suggest is the opposite way of how to approach this.
Okay.
And then the answer to the latter part of what you had said previously is, it's anything past level 1 or level 1 plus is absolutely locked down at the factory. There's nothing provided without verification. Not so much by us as by the person in key records over at Schlage, opening up their filing cabinet and looking at forms and stuff. Now, I don't think, it doesn't sound like you want to expand your existing system, but you want to certainly add to it, but by means of creating a new system, because you're saying, I want a side bit milling that is not the 2 that I already have. And that would certainly be a level beyond level 1, because level 1, as we said, has national, certain keyways, the CE, F, EF, G, FG, they all have I don't remember how many different side bit millings there are. There might be only 3 or 4, but it doesn't matter. It's a publicly published document. Now, you know what? Having said that, that could be another way that you could handle this. You could stick with a level 1 and go with a different keyway. So if you've got C right now.
Okay. We've got, the situation is it's a school, high school, and the athletic department for several years has just been handing out keys to half the athletes to come in on the weekend and shoot baskets. And over the years, it just seems like half of the county has that key.
Yeah.
And we also have a problem with one department of the high school that they've had a lot of grand masters, and they just pass them out, and they just have made them too available to too many people. So if it was just the key to the gymnasium, all I do is just change the side or the top bitting, and then the keys that half the county have would no longer work. But my other problem is that the agriculture department, who has passed out a bunch of, they had masters, and without keying the whole school, a couple hundred or more, locks, the easiest way was for me to just change the side bitting. That corrects both my problems here. And just making a few new keys, we've got the system back, locked down. And the the availability as far as side biddings, our original side bidding is not that one national, code, which is a 62266. But, I can easily get the 62266, but, I was wanting something just a little bit less available. But I don't want to go to the, sell my soul, signing up for a, real restricted, because the kids that, we have problem with them having too many keys, they're not going to be able to come up with key blanks to duplicate this. But I just need a little bit, rarer side bidding than the 62266. Does that make sense?
Perfectly. To go back what you said, I would thoroughly discourage you from changing the bidding at the cylinder shear line, because you're going to be introducing the potential for ghost keys. Biology 101 might work that door.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, because I'm able to go through and verify whether or not we A can open up Z cross access. But yes, that is a small problem. But like I said, I have the double problem of eliminating the kids that have been, made access to that one key. But my other problem, which is just about as big, is that the ag department has passed out so many grand masters that there's only, from my, thought process, there's only two ways of stopping that. Is one, you change the side bidding, or two, you change the whole school because they had grand masters. So the easiest for me was to leave the top bidding alone and just change the side bidding, and that corrects both my problems.
Yeah, I think of course, that's a very elegant way to approach the problem. It's whether it be an ASA, or it be anything with a sidebar, and now Medico 4, this thing that they just announced, it's it has a movable element, it has finger pins, it has obviously lift and rotate. None of it are new ideas, but they're throwing everything into a single cylinder. It's crazy.
Right,
I do disagree, though, in the day and age that we live in with high school students and 3D printing. I could duplicate your key with a 3D printer, as could any 14-year-old that had a 3D printer.
Well, the only limitation on that is they would have to have a milling machine to duplicate that side bidding, and that's
the 3D printer is going to create it.
The 3D printer would create it, but it would not be a real usable key being solved, right?
No, it would work. It may not work more than 2 or 3 or 4 times, but as we're just discussing this nuance of the locksmithing world, being an active member of ALOA and an institutional certified professional locksmith, they had somebody take a picture of a key at 250 feet with a telephoto, and these kids successfully cut the key. It was crazy. Material science isn't there to make it a permanent key, but yeah.
MIT had some students, 5-6 years ago, that did exactly what you're, talking. They were just trying to, kind of prove that they could do it. And yes, they did exactly what you said. They took a long-range photo with their ingenuity and resources. They 3D'd, key blanks, but even they said that the 3D printed key blank was not a real viable application because the keys were so soft. And they said essentially what they were saying was that you make it with a 3D printer and then you duplicate it into the brass material on a blank. But, the limitations on that is, one, whether or not the key blank is available to them. Number two, the milling machine to cut, duplicate that side bitting. And, where I live, we're kind of remote, and this stuff is not available, to high school or college kids. They may have the 3D printer, but they don't have the locksmith tools. Well, the locksmith people don't really have the 3D printer and software to generate that plastic key. So, the two of them, you would have to have both of them, devious to come up with a total package. And I don't think, we in our area, within, our general area, we only have one locksmith. You would have to travel 75 to 100 miles to get a, per se, a professional, big time locksmith. So that's not going to happen around here. So I'm not really losing sleep over, kids going that far. That's more MIT type of stuff instead of our junior college area and basketball players. And eventually the school, I would guess in the next 5 years, they're going to have all exterior doors are going to be access controlled with proximity readers and cameras and everything. So whatever I do is just to get them, up to that point, keep them going for another 5 years. But unless you tell me something else, I'm back to, thinking that I need a different side bitting in the Primus CP level 1. One, the easiest for me is to find an available key blank with a different side bitting than the one everybody, has. Or two, I go pull favors with I've got some machinists that, could.
Oh, no, don't consider that. You're knowingly committing a crime by duplicating keys. Maybe not on the level 1 that's no longer under protection, but possibly on the other system that you've talked about. Just assuming that you're not going to try to get someone to mill those. I really think the approach is for you to tell me, I know one of your side bit millings, if you can determine the other, or give me the information off the end of the box that your other side bit milling came out of, I can simply put it to Schlage tech support and say, the client realizes he's got keys out there. His preferred method of approach is simply changing the side bit milling, whereas with ASA, you could flip the sidebar over and you're done. You just recut the keys. And that, just as an aside, when you buy an ASA, and I'm not an ASA salesperson, when you buy an ASA, you will get the sidebar and you will get the finger pins and you'll get the keys that operate it. They also send you blanks that have the side bit milling flipped over if you took it apart and flipped the sidebar over, so that's neat. And the person who patented the ASA is the same guy who patented the Schlage Primus in the 80s. I can go to Schlage tech support and say, I know I've got these two side bit millings. The path of least resistance is a different side bit milling in a C keyway. Is that possible? And if yes, what level shall I call it? And that would be my approach. Although just to state, 3D key printing is not the purview of the MITs of the world. It's being done all the time, and why Medico 4 put a movable element in the key, which came out of a Dom cylinder, a German cylinder, is to thwart 3D printing, and it's so important that they actually, Medico owns 75% of the North American security cylinder market. It's so important that their latest generation, their patent that came up in 2021 for Medico 3, they've actually incorporated it to thwart it. So I fully realize you have no concern over 3D printing in your area. You would never expect it to happen. But would you agree with that approach that if I could have the factory identify what you already have them come back and say, we understand what you have, we understand what you want to do, here's what we suggest. Sure, they're going to say, you have to rekey everything. You know that you got GMKs out there. You have to start over. I would prefer to have them tell us.
Okay. All righty. A couple weeks ago, I talked to a big-time wholesaler that was a wholesaler for the general contractor on a project here. And his background was locksmithing. And he was just telling me all the things that I cannot do because of the Schlage, and that every bit of it is national security and everything, and, hands are tied, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of let him talk. And then after the conversation was over, I just promptly called the Schlage technical service, and to which I've actually had two conversations with two different people at Schlage to verify. And, they told me that, technically with the Schlage system, it's not, they want you to think, you can't do anything. They said, actually, you can do, for yourself, quite a bit. Because one big thing is Schlage does not protect a dealer's territory. They allow dealers to overlap and come and go as they please. So there's no protection for the dealer because of this. Not like some other brands, but somewhat. I beg your pardon?
That's not true from the perspective that if I do a job for your high school and you've got that other system you referred to, that's just not level one. It could be that the locksmith, contract wholesale company, the distributor who supplied that system that you have there, they may own that side bit milling. Meaning, if you want to expand that system, because of the relationship between them and Schlage.
I'm not wanting to expand their system. I'm wanting to just do away with them. Just get rid of their system.
Yes, sir.
Put it out the door per se, and then start, from new, which is what Schlage said. That's perfectly legit and does it all the time. You push the old guys out because you're having problems with them or their system, and you bring another one in.
Or they run out of business. That happens all the time.
Yeah, and yes, he said, with what was available, we could pretty much, we had a open slate. Because it's not as protected as, people want you to, think. And I was like, well, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And definitely I don't want to be served meals, from behind bars.
No, sir.
But, the way both of these Schlage guys from two different, conversations, they said that, what I can do as the end user is pretty loose. I have a lot of options. And from what I took from that was I can get another side bidding and just change my side bidding and keep my top bidding, and I've cured all my problems.
Right on.
Excuse me?
Right on. Yes, sir. I concur.
Yeah, that is what my train of thought is here, is that I get another side bidding combination that does not infringe on the original locksmith. I push the old locksmith system out and we generate this new one, and we go down the road and everything's protected, and the end user is in control of their own destiny. So I look at it as all I have to do is find a key blank that has a different side bidding. It doesn't have to be level 1 through 1, 2, 3, 10. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. It just has to be different. And I've got a couple, but it's the easiest part for me would be just to get a key blank that already has the side bidding, and as long as it's not something local that we'd be infringing on somebody, we're off to the races.
I agree.
From what I took from the Schlage representatives. So that gets back to my original question: is do you have something available in this 30 different key blanks that you list here that is different from that one Primus CP level 1, everybody's got it key bidding, which is I think it was a 62266, which is what everybody has and makes available, but and it would probably work because there's no locksmith local, and the kids are not going to have the availability to the equipment or the know-how to duplicate a side bidding. And you talking about the 3D printing and everything. We're talking about athletes here. Athletes are not usually notorious for being the most innovative in the world anyway. So I don't have to get, real complicated. And it gets back to a lot of times your best security is them not knowing what you're doing. And, if those kids cannot just go to Home Depot and get a key blank made, that's the extent of their resources. And I'm looking for a key blank with a different side bidding than the one national version in the C. I need a CP with something other than that 62266.
We can for sure provide that. I don't think there's anything in the site that you could add to cart and continue on, because it's certainly going to be level 2, something beyond level 1. My only concern, not knowing the other side bit milling you have, or not allowing the factory to tell us what to do leaves the astronomical chance that it's the same side bit milling.
Well, okay. Now, rephrase what you just said to me. I lost you on a little bit of that.
I
not
fully
knowing, not knowing my other side bidding.
Yeah, I understand where you are and where you want to go. You want to, it is very elegant for you to maintain your bidding list integrity and exclude all of those unauthorized duplicates out there by changing the side bit milling. It's an elegant solution, and it won't be a lot of work either, because I imagine you have the kit and the knowledge of how to change finger pins. It's actually easy. You obviously know how to do that.
I can do that. I've got access to the components. I've got access to blank, key blanks, and I got access, honestly, to go out and mill a different side bidding. But it gets back to I don't want to go to that hassle, and I have not run that by Schlage themselves because I didn't want to, open a can of worms there. But I've got the capability of doing anything I want. It's just a matter of whether I want to run the risk of, like I say, breaking the law.
Schlage is known to enforce their patents. That's for sure.
Well, they're a big company, and that's how they generate their income, is by proprietary, actions. And I'm sure they've got lawyers that would make our heads spin. But in talking to the Schlage people the other day, they weren't too worried because, number one, the guy said, "We're so damn big, you're not going to bother us. We just don't want people on the big level, causing problems." And I was thinking, yeah, I'm not a problem, but you'd want to make an example out of me, is what it, would be. Okay, do I need to go to Schlage and say, hey, can I generate something in the level 1 that is not this one, 62266, side bidding combination, or what do I, do? Because I got some lock cylinders. They said they were new, but I would venture to say that they were somehow old stock. Somebody had made up a big batch for a big job, and either somebody went bankrupt or something was wrong, and this guy was like a liquidation company. They go in and buy, say, a whole room of stuff, and then they liquidate. And I ended up with some stuff, it was made up for a job. Now, it says that it's a level 3G.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, well, okay.
I hope you have enough key blanks for what you want to do.
What do you mean?
Well, a level 3G, there is a government entity in the greater Miami area that is all 3G. So, having participated in getting them key blanks, there's a lot of scrutiny on a level 3G. That's meaning you would never be able to get more key blanks for that, short of you knowingly infringing on patent law and milling your own key blanks.
Okay. Well, the only thing special about this, 3G was that it came with its own side bidding.
Right on.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing. It's not even a XP. I think this stock they had was before the XP came out. It's been sitting in a warehouse for 10 years.
Yeah.
But all it had was 5 different side pins and a different combination than, the everybody's got it combination. I think it was started out with 3 2s, a 3 and a 5. So it was 2 2 2 3 5. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that's just a different, combination. Now, it was master pinned on the job because I got some that, were A plus AB. It was, 2 levels on the top bidding. But my guess is that the total job that they had might have had 10 different, areas. And they may have had 2 or 3 different side biddings for the different areas of the job. Like you said, it may have been a government contract, and some of those government contracts, they can go on, forever. And, the only thing with this stuff that I got from him is that it had a 2-2-2-3-5 side bidding, and that's the only thing that's different than any other level ones that I've got. It's just that side bidding combination, and if I wanted to use these these lock cylinders that he sent me without taking them all apart and reconfiguring them, I would generate a 2-2-2-3-5 side bidding, and then I would match the top bidding, and I could reuse everything he's got. As far as infringing on somebody, that is the question. Does that constitute a big no-no? I don't know. I haven't asked Schlage. I was wanting to kind of stay away from even thinking about that problem. I just wanted another key blank with a different side bidding than that, what was 62266, which everybody has. I just wanted something that just, not really out there, because that 62266, I would say 90% of the United States use that on the low-level systems. But, if I could get one in that same level that's not quite as out there, that would eliminate any problem or any chance of somebody around here getting access to that keyway. Then here again, that all goes out the water. Any of these go out the water if you have a locksmith that his son's going to high school here, and the son somehow gets a hold of one of the administration keys with the side bidding. He takes it home over lunch. He uses his dad's milling duplicator, duplicates that side bidding, and returns the key to the teacher and says, "Oh, hey, I put that in my pocket. I forgot. I went to lunch with it. Here you go." Well, the teacher wouldn't think a thing about it. And then that night, that kid goes home, and he's able to cut the top bidding, and he's got him a Grand Master, and he could make 10 of them for his buddies off of that one. But that's almost science fiction, thinking that a local high school kid has that many resources available on that, ornery, because I'm sure his dad would have instilled in him, don't you ever, do anything without, me knowing, because of the legal repercussions of doing it. But it all gets back to, I just want a CP key blank with a different side bitting than the 62266. Is that available to me through you, or do I need to, shut up and, just go with what we've got and hope we don't have any trouble, or what?
The answer to the former is yes, and you're right. The difference between the different levels is merely it's the keyway and the side bit milling, and how they control access to that side bit milling makes it more exclusive. So my approach to Schlage, since I can provide this to you, is to say I need a side bit milling other than level 1. I want it in a classic C keyway, a classic C Primus keyway. What would you suggest? And they're going to say, well, level 2. Great, it's going to be level 2. My only problem is not knowing your other side bit milling. And again, the astronomical possibility that what you invest in is that same doggone side bit milling. Because I don't know the numbers, there may only be 2,500 different potential side bit milling combinations. I mean, the cuts are, there are 5 cuts, there are 3 positions, so 5 to the 3rd to the 5th. So there's a lot of theoretical possibilities. To not exclude the astronomical chance you are buying what you already have would be a real bummer, but it's just going to be level 2 because it's a different side bit milling, guaranteed.
Okay, level 2, is that available to me as an end user?
Guaranteed. You can be, you as a private individual, or you representing a high school, or you representing a school district, or Lockheed Martin. Anyone can buy it. Moving forward, once you establish and go through the process of purchasing it, you'll fill out paperwork. That all goes on file. So the real drag comes in when you retire and your replacement 10 years from now wants to buy more of those. If he can't find your paperwork, there's more paperwork to do, or you can't expand it. And the bummer about buying stuff on the eBays of the world, which is really cool, I have a mountain full of really cool cylinders, is you can't expand them. So if you bought those 3Gs and you're like, yeah, I got 20 keys with these, I only needed 5, you're good. You're perfect. But in your scenario, it sounds like, you need more than what you were able to get your hands on.
Well, I was able to get a hold of 20 of them.
There you go. Yeah.
But I did not get the key blanks.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is, my options with what I've got is I either generate a key blank or find a key blank that matches their side bitting, or I change their side bitting or their finger pins to match something that I either have or I can get. I don't have a problem either way. I just want to get this behind me, one way or the other. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder because I've done something that I probably shouldn't have, because, paranoia sets in and it's like, okay, the original locksmith has set this system up 20 years ago for the school. If I push him out, he's going to say, well, you can't do anything without, legal repercussions. We're going to come up there and we're going to, use everything in our power to make you regret ever, doing anything. So even if I did something that was not related to them, say I go out and generate my own, finger pin combination, and I generate my own key blank to match that, I'm not infringing on anybody. It's just I'm infringing on the idea that Schlage, came up with, 30 years ago. But I am not infringing on that other locksmith. But he could put Schlage, on me and say, hey, this guy did this, to your system, make him pay. I did not get the impression from Schlage themselves that they really care what I'm doing, because I'm the end user and they don't have that much proprietary control over things. And, I told them, I said, Schlage is actually grasping the straws trying to keep this, real, proprietary, because it's so damn simple. But 99% of the people don't know how it works. So, by keeping everybody in the dark, you've got to, secure ship, and everything. But it's just, I'm just trying to get something that basically nobody kind of knows, what we have, and that would keep the school secure from, kids going home at lunch and, going to, say, a locksmith or Home Depot or something and making a key blank, and then he's got, keys to the school. And like I said, the only way that it could ever be breached is if a kid's dad is a savvy locksmith, that the kid knows enough to go home at lunch with a borrowed key and duplicate it. But the kid would have to have that CP blank. He would have to have the milling machine, and then the code cutter for the top bit. Well, he could duplicate that real easy. But, I don't think I have to worry about that. That's just almost too much paranoia. I just want a different, side milling that nobody's going to have legal ramifications. And, the ironic part about it is, Schlage brags on they've gone from the CP, the Primus, the regular Primus, up to the Classic, up to the Primus XP, and the only difference is it's got a number 7 pin. Schlage said the requirement for the XP is you have to have at least one number 7 pin in it, finger pin. He said that is, the big game changer between Classic Primus and the Primus XP. Then when you go to a lot of the other stuff, then you start mixing the Everest stuff in there, and I'm not interested in the Everest portion of it. I'm secure with just a regular Primus C keyway and blank, and I just need just a little different side milling. Does that make sense?
Yes. As I said, I can provide that to you. It could be a C Classic keyway and a different side bit milling.
Okay.
Would it not be easier, since you have to cut new keys, to just go to an E keyway or an F keyway?
E or a what? F?
Yeah, no, forgive me. You would have to replace the cylinders.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to be with the C keyway on the whole school. I've got a couple of hundred, doors. So the only thing I could do would be go up with a keyway, but it still goes down to the same, I've still got the same C keyway throughout the school. So changing a key blank profile doesn't do me any good, I don't think. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but I just need a different, side milling. Now, my question to you is, if you can go to Schlage and they can offer you something, why can't I just, you don't have anything in your list of goodies here on your website that's a different side milling that you can just sell me off the shelf?
Nope. Nope. There's
Wow.
only one side bit milling that you can just buy off the shelf.
And
that's
that's
the
that.
one it's the one you have.
That 62266.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
you
looking
got
at the.
you got 20 some variations of that same thing.
Nope.
Okay.
I've got there are several pages of 351. There's probably 200 variations of 35157 that I have on the site, but there are none of them that I can say order that item. I guarantee it to have a separate side bit milling. It will be considered not level 1. Certainly, you'll need to order a box of 50 blanks, which probably won't be a problem long term.
Right.
But I can guarantee that it will be different than the level 1 62266. What I can't guarantee is it'll be different from the side bit milling that you already have. The second side bit milling you have.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So in a way, you're kind of restricted on what you have available, but yet a lot of the restriction is not knowing what you have. Because let's just take an example here. You've got a Schlage 35157 003170CP.
Okay, that is a facility code for a specific client. That could be Abbott Laboratories in Northbrook, Illinois, to use a fictitious example. That could be Electric Boat. That could be,
That is one of your clients. That is one of your clients.
Exactly. And that could be the local high school. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and technically you can only sell to that client, that part number?
No, well, so back to your concern, if you yank all that Schlage out, or if you yank one Schlage out, that locksmith has zero ability to persuade you to make a different decision. He can't do anything about that. If you yank it out and you buy your Primus from someone else, there's nothing they can do about it. The only thing that could be done is if your keyway and side bit milling is owned by that local locksmith, you'll find that you have to go back to that person to get that stuff. But in my example, that all those variations, like one of the 5 possibilities, it's a specific item for a specific client. That's the problem I've got. I'm looking at the job I just did for a battered woman's shelter in Miami. It's all 3G, and it's that number you see is the facility code. It's what Schlage ties. It's their blind code, so to speak, to follow locksmithing terminology.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's their indirect code, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. So, enlighten me here. That 35157 003170, or I don't know if that's the one I said. You say that was for a client somewhere in Timbuktu.
Yes.
Okay. And you can sell me that key blank, and I beg your pardon?
I absolutely cannot. That's tied to a facility. That particular thing is tied back to a particular customer's physical installation.
Okay, so you've got it on your website, but you can't sell it to anybody but that one installation.
Absolutely, that item is for a particular client.
That is why you've got so many different things, because you got
a few.
Yeah, let's say you said you had a couple hundred. Okay, let's say you got 150 clients out there that sometimes needs keyboard. Okay, you have listed on your website their key blank, but you can only sell it to them and none of the rest of us that see it.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, normally, nobody ever puts that on their website.
Why does it matter? You would have no access to the conversion.
Yeah, it just has people saying, "Hey, I'll click on that and get it," and it comes up. Nope. You click on another one. Nope. Click on another. Nope. You've just got 150 of them that, are showing out there, but we can't click on. It's only the people that, you did the job for. Okay. That gets back to the first question a half an hour ago. Why do you have so damn many on here? And I'm going to take it that you're putting it out there for your customer, but none of the rest of us have access to it.
I could call that, widget 1, widget 2, widget 3, and I could have a alias chart running on my back end. So whatever I call it, whatever the description is, your argument is the same. If you were to put any of those in the cart, the system will take your money. I will get an order confirmation, at which point I'll reach out to you and say, great, now send me the paperwork. At which point Schlage's going to say, nope, this doesn't match. And I'll say politely, why did you order that? Did you not know? Or is there something happening here? And the factory is very interested in who's trying to buy people's stuff as well.
Well, potentially, but I say if I was stalking or targeting one of your customers here, I wouldn't know if they were the 6 on the list here or 26 on the list. I wouldn't know which facility, unless I was buying all of them. Then on top of all that, I'd have to, get the top bidding codes. Well, heck, it's a lot simpler just to pirate their key blank for a few minutes and duplicate it. So I don't understand why all the security, you're putting it out there, but yet you've got high security. And if it's that high a security or that tough to match it up, I'll just go out there and, duplicate the key. Or, like I say, a lot of times you can have the best secure lock, and all you got to do is go get something and ram the door if you really, wanted to get in there.
You use that 12-pound key.
Something like
the 4-pound key.
Or the 4-wheel drive key.
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, I think you've answered the question that there's not really, your hands are kind of tied here on what you can and cannot get for me. And then I just need to go back. Yes?
Well, our hands are tied in the sense that the factory does all verification of what is shipped and the end user's identity based on what's provided, paperwork-wise. I can sell you exactly what you want, and I can stop short of defining it, or I can go past it and say, just so that you and I understand, it's not level 1 because there's only one side bit milling. It's going to be a different level. It'll be level 2, and there will be paperwork to file. But there is no different side bit milling for an unrestricted Primus. There's only one national bidding, as you know.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds like I just need to go back to Schlage, talk to them a little bit, and say, hey, what can I do without going to jail? I'm capable of doing anything, but I don't want to, I don't want to be the guy that pulls the trigger that, drops the target.
But why not just purchase the CP in a level 2, different side bit milling, box of 50 blanks. They may require that you buy a cylinder. I don't know. They might. But, the only exposure to astronomical risk, again, is that unknown side bit milling, which I couldn't see it possibly being the same, but that is, it's like having a ghost key out there in the sense that maybe there is, I'm sure there's not, but theoretically there could be.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery. Chances are next to nothing that you'll win the lottery, but there's always somebody that does.
And you threw your ticket out, and you're like, "Oh, I don't have to go through the garbage. I know I didn't win." So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, okay, your scenario. your scenario that I can purchase a level 2 key blank with a level 2 side bidding with the risk, very small risk of duplicating, my existing. And then I'm off to the races.
You're in like Flynn.
Okay. And now, is that something that we have to go through Schlage to do, or can you do it right on the spot? Or?
You can purchase your Schlage Primus from anywhere, anyone you want that has that relationship with the factory. It could be us. It could be, your local guy. It could be anyone that will call and answer the phone and take your call and take an order. Unless you are like NASA, there wouldn't be a direct relationship with the factory.
Okay, let me make sure I understand that. I can order from you a box of keys with the C Classic keyway and a side bidding that's probably different than anything else I've ever seen without registering, stepping on somebody else's toes, or having to get Schlage's blessing?
No to two of the three. You're going to have to fill out paperwork. The factory's going to put on file your information to have them provide you material that's restricted.
Okay, so I can buy a box of keys. We have to register with Schlage, and then you can sell them to me.
Guaranteed. Oh, I do it all the time. I'm constantly mailing letters of authorization to the factory.
Now the $64 question. How expensive is a box of those keys?
Well, Mike, and I supply Primus to people all the time. The answer is $260 is generally what a box of 50 will cost. It could be, though, that the factory will say, we're not selling you key blanks for a system that's not registered. You have to have hardware. And I'll say, no. Here's what he wants to do. It's a very elegant solution. They may or they may not say that's okay. They might require that you buy a rim cylinder, if you follow my meaning. I don't know that. It's very ingenious, your approach. So much so that I've never gone to the factory and said, here's the elegant solution the client would like to put into play here. It's the path of least resistance. Will you just sell him key blanks? Because he's already got the hardware. So it might be a tip-off. It might be an attempt to get key blanks that someone's then going to modify, and who knows? I don't know. Part of it is smoke and mirrors is part of preserving the value of the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment that they've put into it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's how they make their money. And they're big,
yes, sir.
corporate America.
Yes,
and everything. And nothing is wrong with that, except for the fact that, the classic Primus is out of patent protection.
Right.
And from what the guys with Schlage tell me, I can do anything I want with that, because number one, I own the hardware, I own everything. And as far as the classic Primus system, it's outdated, and they really don't have the clutch on my. They don't have me by the family jewels.
No, sir.
They said, we don't really care about that. That's old. We're worried about the new stuff.
Yes, sir.
And so that kind of told me, hey, okay, if that's what he's telling me, all I need is a different side bidding, and I am off to the races, and and I'm not going to jail. So as far as getting a different side bidding, I've got two options. One, I'm a nice guy and I buy it. Two, I'm an ingenious guy and I mill it and use it. Not stepping on anybody else's toes or anything. I'm not duplicating the local guy's system, so he doesn't have the right to say, hey, I took his system and I'm using it for my own advantage, which I understand because he bought it, and he had an investment and he should have a return. But if I end up with something that Schlage doesn't really care about, and I'm not stepping on or stealing the idea off of somebody else, I got the impression that Schlage was okay with that. I'm capable of that. I just thought it would be simpler for me to just buy a key that has a different side milling, and I don't have to go to the trouble of milling it. It wasn't that complicated to decode their system. It's you start your first, side bidding at so much, I can't remember, like 150 thousandths off of the, shoulder of the key, and then it's whether or not you go left or right or center for your different fingers. Then you go to the next center line, you go left or right or center, and so on. And then the other combination is whether you go with a deep cut or a shallow cut at each of those things. It's simple machining. It just you got to have the desire. And why should I go to the trouble of spending an hour doing that when I can just buy a key for $5 and duplicate it?
Right. I hate to participate in a conversation about doing something knowingly in violation of the factory's published documentation, but why not just take one of your 2s and change it into a 4?
A 2 to make it a 4. Well, I'd have to go from center to just the depth.
Yeah, change one.
Okay.
Because there's no smacks as far as I know with side pins, with finger pins.
Okay. Oh, wait. 2 and a 4. A 2 is left and a 4 is center.
I'm not looking at the chart. I never tried to memorize that stuff, but I'm just saying.
It's odd numbers. 1, 3, and 5 are shallow cuts. 2, 4, and 6 are deep cuts.
Yeah.
And then, I could change a 3 and make it a 4, or I could take the 5 and make it a 6. Let's see, 5, 1, 3, 5, 5 and 6. Yeah, you're just saying just change the depth on one of my cuts, not changing the left to right orientation, just going from a shallow to a deep. That's the only option I have on any of them, which is, it's a simple way of doing it. Why make it complicated? And everything. But that is one option. But it all goes back to the original. I don't want to do something that lands me in jail.
I would not test. I would not alter that property, whether it's still under patent protection or not, at all. At all. That's my opinion.
That was my original thought. I don't want to do something like that.
I've sat in a locksmithing class, several of them with. I've sat in locksmithing classes with some people that are the most famous people no one has ever heard of, at Schlage, at Medico, and others, and I've heard how their businesses are run. I wouldn't consider the thought of modifying anything that's out there. Not this stuff.
Yeah. So it all goes back to, acquiring a key blank that nobody has any restrictions on, that's different than what I've got, and I'm off to the races. So, and this lot of lock cylinders that I bought that have a different bitting, side milling, as long as I take their finger pins out and put the finger pins in that match my system, I'm not infringing on anybody's rights or ownership. I'm keeping everything, in-house.
Maybe if Lockheed Martin owns that side bit milling, I think theoretically that statement may not be solid. But who cares? They would never know. They could never know.
Well, they'll never know, and I'm throwing out their code, not using it, and I'm just using my code. All I'm using is the actual cylinder with not their code. If they want their code back, I'll put those weird finger pins in a little baggie. I'll mail them to them with my blessing. Here, you think it's so valuable? Here you go.
It's also why the manufacturers have a treadmill, that a patent is good for only so long. So anyone who's heavily invested in original Schlage Primus and it's no longer under patent protection, Schlage will tell them through distribution, either upgrade or proceed knowing that you're no longer under patent protection.
Yes. Yeah. And that's
where XP comes in.
That's the take that I get, that our system is no longer under protection.
Yeah.
But we're not wanting to go with the latest and greatest. We're wanting to stay with this, but, go with something else that's not patent protected, but yet different enough that the kids aren't going to be, using the old keys to still get in. And from talking to Schlage, I get the impression that what I'm wanting to do, is it has Schlage's blessing. They don't care. But if I would go and start doing, getting key blanks and putting number 7 pins in, well, now I'm into the XP, which is still under patent protection until 2024. And technically Schlage could say, hey, that's still ours. You can't do anything. So I'm not wanting to jump into that. Hell, I could buy number 7 pins all day long. I think they were even in that Schlage, kit, but I don't want to go there. I just want to I want to keep it simple, but yet keep the kids out. So I think I need to talk to Schlage again and make sure that I do have the resource of coming back to you, being able to buy a semi-secure code in the version of a box of 50, but we probably have to fill out some paperwork to register. Correct?
That is very much correct. Yes, sir. That will be an inevitability. Okay.
And then as far as price, whether it's $5 or $5,000, you said that I'm probably looking at about $250 for a box of key blanks and a little
about
paperwork.
$260 would be my guess. Whether or not they make you buy a piece of hardware remains to be seen, but is
that just a technicality?
Forgive me. What did you say?
Is that just a technicality, buying a piece of hardware?
I think it may be. I could see where the factory, and in my 3 decades of selling hardware, I thought somewhere in the past I've had a conversation with the factory like this, and they're like, if you're establishing a new system, they said, there's no way that you can establish a new system and not have a piece of hardware. And they concluded that the request for blanks only was establishing a new system. And we are, because we are going to fill out paperwork. If they were to question that, I would then explain what your approach is. The client he's got unauthorized duplicates out there, wants to change the side bit milling like you can do with ASA, flip it over, you're done, recut the keys. And that's why we want blanks only. If they were to be stick in the muds, and when you call Schlage, ask them if they would require that. I would then say, okay, great. What's the cheapest level? What's the cheapest cylinder you can sell me that's got that side bit milling?
Just to
cylinder
just
for
to make it
A-line
legal.
knob. Just whatever.
Yeah.
Put a line item on the PO. Give me a cylinder for an A-line, storeroom, whatever.
Yeah.
Give me a rim cylinder. I don't care.
Yeah, just a plain cylinder. And technically, they're selling you that one cylinder and 50 keys to go in that cylinder.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because what you're doing is you are in a certain sense upgrading your security. Not in a certain sense, you are, and that may continue and logically would continue to other parts of the not only the facility, but you're within a school district. So now we can talk about 50 schools in a school district. I think that's the approach Schlage has to take into account as well.
Okay. I think I've learned a lot here. And I learned there's no use in scrolling through your list here
Right.
online, because that ain't going to get me nowhere. So I'll talk to Schlage, see what they'll let me do, and then I know what I can do on your end. If they give me the blessing, then I come back, buy a box of keys, and go from there. Now, one last question. Say one of these line items you have, that you've got, say, 200 of them on your website. If somebody that is authorized to buy that one, line item, do they have to buy 50 at a time?
Absolutely. Whether you are thoroughly established or a new system, they do not sell any key blanks that are restricted. That are, yes, sir. Yeah, multiples of 50. That's not you, not a new system. That's every manufacturer.
That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I've seen a couple of your videos on YouTube. I think you need to do one anonymously. My situation here. Wouldn't that put people to sleep? So. Okay, very good. You've been very, very helpful. Can't say I'm going to get much further from it, but at least I know where I am. And,
you didn't lose yardage, so that's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, very good. I'll see where I go and maybe back in touch if they let me. All right?
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure. I'm glad you called.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.